Howdy, everybody. This is Aide-de-Camp, and today I'd like to do something a little bit different. Today I will be doing Wikipedia spelunking. I'm going to go into the depths of Wikipedia, which I think is a Twitter account, but I'm just going to look around. I'm just going to look around at random different articles. I already do this anyway. I think a lot of people already do this anyway, so might as well have a good time with other people. See if you guys have any experiences. If you see an article you like and you're like, oh my gosh, actually, if you click this link on the blue text, you can find this other article and just interesting things. So I like to scroll. This is my doom scrolling. This is my bed rotting. I just look at Wikipedia articles all the time. I would like to take it nice and slow to begin. We will look up my home state, and we're going to go through the Wikipedia article for Kentucky. So, me. Let me clear my throat. Me. Kentucky, officially the Commonwealth of Kentucky. There are only 4 Commonwealths. And I always thought that was super cool that Kentucky is a Commonwealth. That you don't have a lot of different names for states. It's almost always just state of blank. So Commonwealth of Kentucky is cool. I miss Rhode Island having the full name. I guess I understand where they're coming from. I wouldn't want to be associated with slavery either, but it was cool to have a name like that. So it goes. But Kentucky is officially the Commonwealth of Kentucky, a landlocked state in the southeastern region of the United States, bordering Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I already know all this, of course. West Virginia, Tennessee, Missouri, Ohio River, which, by the way, Kentucky has like the longest amount of the Ohio River in or next to it on the border. Why is this not the Kentucky River? I live right near the Kentucky River, but why is this not the Kentucky River? Because it's the entire northern border of Kentucky. It would have made a lot more sense for it to be the Kentucky River than the Ohio River. And I guess when they first got to it, it was around the Ohio country, territory, or whatever you'd call it, so I guess I understand why they would name it that, but I think it should be named after its primary connection, and its primary connection is to Kentucky. Like, we are very connected with the Ohio River. All I'm saying is, that's what they should have done. They should have called that one the Kentucky River, but can't be changed now, I suppose. Although I do like living near the Kentucky, so. Previously part of Virginia. June 1st, 1792, Bluegrass State. A lot of horses. Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that. A lot of horses here. I'm in central Kentucky, so, lot of horses everywhere, all over the place. You really can't avoid them. Fertile soil in the central. Yeah, I'm trying not to get too deep. The fertile soil in the central and yeah, great. We don't need to know about that. I get it. I know it. Maybe not everybody knows that Kentucky is actually a very fertile state. My grandmother would always say, like, Daniel Boone loved Kentucky because of how good it was as a farming state, and agriculture was a huge part of Kentucky. And of course, you've got the horse industry and the bourbon. Gotta love the bourbon industry. And, okay, KFC. Let's go over to KFC for a second. KFC, everybody hates on. Everybody hates on KFC, and I will not stand for it. I absolutely love KFC. It is my favorite fried chicken place. If and hear me out, I'm going for fried chicken. If I'm going for like a chicken sandwich, it's Popeyes. If I'm going for like chicken nuggets, it might be Chick-fil-A. I love their chicken nuggets with the Chick-fil-A sauce. That's great. But if I'm going for a piece of like a fried thigh or a drumstick, it's got to be KFC. The 11 herbs and spices, right? I'm not crazy there. I don't know why I said 7. Way more than that, right? 11 herbs and spices, yeah. And I can fact check myself more or less. It's Wikipedia, but I can check it right here and be like, yes, I don't know why I said 7 to start, but maybe 7-11. Anyway, so where was I? where was I? 7, 11. Oh, their spices. Their herbs and spices are so good. And if you get a nice, good fried piece of chicken from KFC, it's going to be delicious. The 7 herb... I said it again. The 11 herbs and spices are delicious. And I do not understand why people are starting to be like, oh, you got KFC and it's trash. And I'm not going to say, like, all their locations are great. But the food itself, the chicken is so good. Compare that, I know, Jollibee, huge popular chain right now. It's getting a lot of attention, and I do like Jollibee. I've been a couple times. Not really for their chicken. It's fine. It's not really unique. I like it, but I actually go for other reasons. One, kind of like the cultural vibes. Like, it's a huge chain that's in big cities. It's a good place to be. Two, when I went in Hawaii, I got their palabok. Their pancit... Excuse me. I think it's called pancit palabok. I don't know how to pronounce that word. And that was delicious. I didn't get it when I was in Italy, though. They didn't have it. I don't know if that was like a chain franchise thing. Anyway, that's why I like Jollibee. There are reasons I go to Jollibee, and it's not because of their chicken, unfortunately. I get chicken wings from... I do like Popeye's chicken pretty well. I do like their chicken wings a lot. I'll get their chicken wings plenty. But if I want fried chicken, real southern fried chicken, KFC. Always KFC. Don't hit me with the Lee's or Church's or what's another good chain everyone likes? Does Zaxby's have like bone-in chicken? I think they're only chicken tenders, right? Zaxby's and that other place, Raising Cane's. I think they're only chicken tenders, right? I never go to those places because I actually hate Zaxby's and Raising Cane's. It's just chicken tenders, and I guess they're okay chicken tenders, but like if you go to their stores and like their menu is so plain, I never want to go to those stores. KFC has good chicken. They've got good sides. I love their mashed potatoes and gravy. I don't sleep on their mashed potatoes and gravy. I even like their coleslaw is great. Their mac and cheese is pretty good. I really like KFC, and I don't know why people sleep on KFC. Everyone is like, oh, go get the new stuff. There's all these new restaurants. KFC is tired and boring and trash. And no, KFC is seriously the best chicken restaurant, fried chicken, ever. And I don't understand why people feel otherwise. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to move on. I'm glad Kentucky Fried Chicken was right here in the first section of the Wikipedia article because that was a whole rant there. But yeah, no, I love Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I don't understand why it's not getting the love it deserves. Maybe it's because their stores are a little not great. But the Sweet Lightning, if you have not had the Sweet Lightning, I know it's not as good as Baja Blast, get the Sweet Lightning. It's fantastic. Anyway, Aide-de-Camp County. I've never heard of that before. Prior to 1769, how do you pronounce that? Aide-de-Camp? Botetourt. Botetourt! Botetourt! Okay. Botetourt County. Botetourt County. Botetourt County. I can't even think of a good joke about that. Why is it called Botetourt County? What? Okay, let me look up. Why is it called that? Why is it called that? Tell me why it's called that. That's the thing I want to know. It doesn't even say. It doesn't even say. Who lives there? 33,000. County is reduced to the area of the New and Kanawha rivers by the creation of Fincastle County. Most of that latter. Okay, anyway. Botetourt County. I've never heard of that before. Prior to 1769, Botetourt County and successor counties in the colony of Virginia, whose geographical extent was south of the Ohio and Allegheny rivers beyond the Appalachian Mountains, became known to European Americans as Kentucky or Kentuck Country. It was named for the Kentucky River, a tributary of the Ohio, which, does the Kentucky, where's its actual path? Is that our eastern border? No, it's not our eastern border. I didn't think so. I don't remember which side. Is that the Kanawha River? Is that the Kanawha River? I actually don't remember how to pronounce this one either, so... Where was that? I just saw that. Where was that? I lost it. I lost it. Gone. Reduced to ashes. I mean, where was it? New. There it is. Oh my gosh. That was difficult to find. I don't understand how I just lost that. Nope, that's just goes straight through West Virginia. What is the... I can't remember it. I knew it. I know I knew it. What's it? Does it say on the list? It says the Ohio River. It doesn't mention what that one is. What is the Eastern River of Kentucky? Man, I need to type more often. I can be really good. Sometimes, does this happen with anybody else? Do you, like, fluctuate between being able to type without looking and having to, like, really focus on what you're doing? Because I feel like... You seeing this? You seeing this? There is no single river called the Eastern River of Kentucky. Yes, I know. I know, Google. I'm aware. I understand. I know there is no river called the Eastern River of Kentucky. Was it the Big Sandy River? Let me look up Big Sandy on Wikipedia then. I don't even remember where it was. Oh, typing, because I'm sucking at doing it right now. Okay, yeah, that's the border. Forms part of the boundary between the two states along... Okay, yeah. So it's the new... Big Sandy, not New Sandy. The Big Sandy River, which I was there... I was at, shoot, Ashland? Am I thinking of Ashland? I'll know by the... Yeah, that looks like where I was. I think that's right. I was there a few months ago. That seems right. I think that was right. Let me get back to my typing thing. Sometimes, maybe it's just getting back into the habit, because it's actually been a while since I've really done any typing on the keyboard, but sometimes I'm able to just go tap, 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 and it's fine. And then other times, I really have to go slow and be careful about what I'm doing. And I think that's a product of my schooling. They taught us typing, proper typing, but I didn't really keep up with it. And maybe that's more of a me thing then. I guess that's more of a me thing. Anyway, Big Sandy River, and then just the entire border with Tennessee is the southern border. Botetourt County, Alleghenies, named for the Kentucky River. Should be the northernmost, but whatever. Precise etymology of the name is uncertain. Pardon me. The one theory, Iroquoian name on the meadow. Yeah, I've heard a few names. I remember in elementary school, somebody told me, one of the teachers, or like, I thought it was somebody we had come into class for some reason, said that it was like Kentucky, or however it would be pronounced, was a native term meaning the dark and bloody land, but I have never seen that anywhere else, and I have no idea how accurate that is. My guess is that it's not accurate at all, but my understanding of it is that, at least, especially like the forests of Kentucky, weren't super populated, but there were, I don't know, there were plenty of native villages nearby. I guess it wasn't the most populated region of America, but I thought it was mostly used for hunting grounds, which I don't know. That's my understanding of it, but I should learn more about Kentucky's pre-European history, Clovis culture. I love learning about the mound building cultures. I should find better sources than Wikipedia for this, because I would like to learn more. I really, really would. Clovis sites, Monteverde. Ooh. Oh, nice. Where is this? Oh. Wait, what the heck? That was not what I was expecting. Well, historically, many scholars led Clovis first earliest inhabitants of the Americas. Today this is generally rejected, with several accepted sites across the Americas dating back to thousands of years earlier than the oldest Clovis sites, including Monteverde 2, Cooper's Ferry, Paisley Caves, Page Ladson, and Buttermilk Creek. Go and Fredkin's sites. The Clovis culture represents the earliest widely recognized archaeological culture in North America, but it was contemporaneous with Western stemmed tradition. Okay, I think I'm getting in over my head right now. Where is the Clovis site? The type site is Blackwater Draw Locality number 1. And that is in New Mexico. Okay. So the Clovis culture, how widespread was the Clovis culture then? Oh, I'd love to go to this museum. That looks cool. Is there like a map that shows the range? Ice free and coastal migration. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm not certain. So I guess the first archaeological evidence of human occupation of Kentucky is approximately 9500 BCE, and it was the Clovis culture, primitive hunter-gatherers with stone tools. Around 900, Mississippi culture took root in western Kentucky, and a Fort Ancient culture, which, yeah, this is the Sunwatch Indian Village. I haven't been here. I would like to go here. Part of the Mound Watch, part of the Mound Builders. So you see it definitely spread in. I live like right around here, so I'm not familiar with the Larkin site. I wonder where that is. Mount Sterling. Mount Sterling, apparently, and I didn't know this until very recently, was named Mount Sterling because there was a huge Indian mound straight in the center of the town. Like when settlers came to the area, they found this huge hill, and they're like, oh, this is perfect. This is an old Indian mound. We're gonna build our town around this. And then in like the 20s, was it like the Works Project Administration? That's what it's called, right? The WPA. Works Progress Administration. Yeah, I thought it was projects. Anyway, I assume it was part of them, but maybe it was like people from the University of Kentucky or just some other university. I don't really know, but this mound in Mount Sterling was literally 30 feet tall, I think. Something around there. I don't remember if... Let me look up Mount Sterling. Maybe I should actually just do Mount Sterling instead of Montgomery County. Mount Sterling, Kentucky. History, burial mound called Little Mountain. And for... I thought there was a Wikipedia article from Little Mountain, but maybe I just saw those pictures elsewhere. But it was a huge mound. I've seen the pictures. They have pictures of its excavation. And this is what's really upsetting. It's like this ancient site that I would love to have gone visit growing up, but it got excavated in the 20s or around there, which a lot of burial mounds and other platform mounds were excavated in the early 20th century. And when they excavated it, they just like dug straight into the side of the mound and removed the material, and then like kept going a layer at a time, and they didn't rebuild it. They just took it all away, and now where the mound was in Mount Sterling is just like a four-way stop, a stoplight right there, which is upsetting because that would, first of all, if you want to be greedy about it, at the very least, that would have been a great tourism attraction. That would have been a great tourism attraction. At the most moral, I would say, take you could have is that this is a historic site that we should be showing reverence to and not just destroying it entirely. But I don't know. I love mounds. I love mound sites, and their destruction hurts me. It does. And I like learning about them. I wish I had known about that sooner, because I never really thought twice about Mount Sterling's name being Mount Sterling. There's not like a huge mountain there. But there was, apparently, a very, very tall Indian mound, and it's gone. And I would have liked to have seen it. The Kispoko... So, anyway. Early history. Back to early history. This is getting... I'm getting way in depth about this. Like, I'm way more than I thought I would. So this is work. This spelunking, I like this. This was an experiment, and I think I like how this is going so far. Looking into everything very closely and just kind of ranting about whatever. French explorers in the 17th century documented numerous tribes in Kentucky until the Beaver Wars, 1670s. Yeah. I guess this is kind of the idea. By the time that European colonial explorers and settlers began entering Kentucky in greater numbers in the mid-18th century, there were no major Native American settlements in the region. So, I guess that's that. The whole Native American decline happened because of European introduction of diseases. A lot of the times, these diseases ravaged Native populations, and I wonder if that helped contribute to the collapse of the Mississippian culture. I really think there's a strong case to be made that nobody lived in the cities because the cities is where you got sick, and so the settlements shrunk, and the kind of centralization of these societies fell apart. And that was one of the big reasons why it was so easy for Europeans, I would argue at least, to settle in these areas. They could come in, they were better armed, they had a lot of people trained. I mean, settlers, especially if they were a military force, had training. They had a very advanced way of pushing their boundaries. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so another kind of molecule chased out of southern. Okay, the Chickasaw had territory up to the confluence of the Ohio and the Mississippi and the Ohio during the period known as the Beaver Wars. Another Algonquin, Muskotan were chased out of southern Michigan. Vast moved to Kentucky. I guess I've heard of the Maumee, and they're related to the Miami, which I'm not surprised by either. Persistent myth perpetually alleges the natives never. Hey, this is where I was. See, this is what I would, and this was when I was in like second grade. I don't remember it very well, but persistent myth perpetuated many popular and scholarly works alleges that Native Americans never lived permanently in Kentucky, but rather used it only as hunting ground. Which certainly there were a lot of settlements, burial mounds. I've never been to the mounds, Wycliffe mounds, which I would like to go see sometime. They're very far away from me, so it's not that's the reason it's not a very close location. But I'd still like to go see them sometime. I didn't expect to be going on a rant about mound builders, but I do it a lot, actually, so it's maybe not too surprising when I'm talking about the native history of Kentucky. I should have guessed. I should have guessed this would turn into a rant about mound cultures. The European settlers encountered extensive evidence of permanent, advanced settlements, including numerous burial mounds, copper, and stone artifacts, and what early historians describe as fortifications. One of the coolest sites, it's not in Kentucky, it's in, I think, Georgia? I want to say it's Georgia, but it's like the remnants of stone walls, like a fort, an actual castle, basically. And that I would love to go see. Yeah, this happened a lot, too. It's not true. There was something about a Welsh prince discovering America and building that castle that like that fort that I'm talking about in, like I said, I think it was like Georgia. No, I don't think that's likely. I would say that's pretty unlikely. But I did actually. Let me go on a little side tangent here. I did recently hear about this French explorer, and I'm sure there's no good reason to assume that he actually did, but there's some evidence, not very strong and very unlikely, but there's some evidence that he discovered the Amazon River 4 years before Christopher Columbus in 1488. And I was, like I said, I scroll through Wikipedia a lot. Just learned about this like 2 days ago. Super weird. Never heard about this guy, and probably because it didn't actually happen. But he was like, he was near Africa and got blown off course and found a river, the mouth of a river, and then sailed back to France, and supposedly discovered the Amazon River, which is a crazy take. I'd love to see if there's any more research that can be done into that. But for now, I'll just have to assume that's not true. But I'm still curious. And I've never heard of that before. Guess that's not surprising. Beginning in the 17th century, before indigenous groups in Kentucky made direct contact with Europeans, European origins such as glass beads entered the region via trade route. That's actually pretty interesting. Mass graves, yeah. European diseases also introduced and destabilized and changed the... I guess when I say it's a theory, I mean it's the academic consensus, apparently. Every time I talk about something, it's like, here's the actual thing you're trying to get at, and this is super useful for this discussion. European settlers arrived in Kentucky as early as 1671. Europeans spied Kentucky during expeditions on the Mississippi, but they never set foot in the land south of the Ohio. Did Spanish explorers go north of the Ohio? I would have guessed... Oh, I guess they mean like they didn't reach as high as land south of the Ohio, if I had to guess. Notwithstanding speculations of Hernando de Soto. I'm not super familiar with Robert de La Salle, but Hernando de Soto, I love the de Soto expedition. That one is super interesting because the interactions he has with the native populations are very cool. There's some uncertainty whether to what extent the early English explorers out of Virginia set foot on the land. Yeah. More settlers entered the area. Warfare broke out. Herod founded Herodstown, modern-day Harrodsburg, during the Lord Dunmore's War. Yeah. I actually was looking at Lord Dunmore's War for a different project that I kind of would like to get going, but that'll be a long ways out. Who knows how long that'll take. Let's go to Harrodsburg for a second. There was Fort Herod. Where is it? Where? Fort Herod. Where are you, Fort Herod? Okay, we have found Fort Herod State Park at the very least. I am not certain why it wasn't just on Harrodsburg's Wikipedia page, but I found it. This right here does not look as good. The actual fort, if you go there today, does not look nearly that good. It's pretty good. It's a good size. It's a pretty interesting location. I definitely recommend it, but it's also falling apart. A lot of our historic sites in Kentucky are not doing well. So, a blab school. A blab school? Why would it be called a blab school? They got that SpongeBob... I don't understand why you would call it... I mean, okay, shortened form of the word blabber, meaning to talk without much sense. That's actually kind of interesting. Sound of students' loud recitations as heard by neighbors of the school. I've heard it called a vocal school. Never heard it called a blab school before. Yeah, so anyway, it's not a great site right now simply because it is kind of falling apart, but it's definitely worth a visit. I think they have like a Hobbit festival nearby at least every year, which I've never been to, but that would be cool. And here's the parking lot. Great picture. Under which lies the actual fort site. So the site was built right here, right here. Give it up right here, and now that's a parking lot. They always moved everything. I wonder if this not reenactment reconstruction is bigger than the actual fort itself, because I know Fort Boonesborough is way bigger than the actual fort was in history. And I wish they had built it to be accurate. I don't know why you wouldn't want it to be historically accurate, but so it goes. Old Fort Herod can be traced back to the year 1773. Felled the tree that signaled the beginning of human habitation in the Kentucky territory. Well, I think they mean by Europeans, but yeah. So I had to go here to his Wikipedia page, and I found it. Which also, by the way, where was it? In 1792, Herod disappeared while on a hunting trip in the wilderness. So, did he... Wait, did he not ever... He just disappeared. Okay, well, I didn't know that. He disappeared on a hunting trip. It's possible that he was killed by Indians or became ill and died of natural causes. Some suggest he took a wilderness divorce from his wife. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one way. You don't like your spouse, just disappear into the woods, I guess. Well, his family maintained he was murdered by one of his companions while secretly searching for the fabled silver mine of Jonathan Swift. I kind of caught a glimpse of this as I was searching for Old Fort Herod. And I thought it'd be interesting to click onto this and go onto it, but I didn't read the rest of the paragraph it was attached to. I wasn't expecting that. So there was a legend of a silver mine named by given in the journal of an Englishman named Jonathan Swift, preceded Daniel Boone into Kentucky, coming in 1760 on a series of mining expeditions. Wounded Bear led Swift to Silver Ore in the Cave, made annual treks carrying out silver bars and minted coins. Right, he was minting coins right in the mine, apparently. I would probably just sell the raw material. I don't know if you can do that, really. I know you can make your own coins, just so long as they don't you don't trick anybody into thinking they're actual currency, but I don't know about then. I'm sure silver bars would have been fine, but minting your own coins is crazy work. It's crazy work. Okay, buried a good deal of the treasure. He made silver in large quantities, burying some. So this spelunking, Wikipedia spelunking, has really gone into spelunking territory. I'm sure that won't happen ever again. It probably won't. Silver, $30,000, $15,000. A lot of gold, a lot of silver buried random places. It allowed anyone who will to hunt for. Wait. By the fork of a white oak tree and $3,000 in the rock of a rock house, all which, in the light of these notes, it is allowed anyone who will to hunt for. I don't like the phrasing of that. Let me read this. Silver Camp. Swift's fabulous journals report silver operations in East Kentucky. References to ships on the Spanish Sea and to coinage of silver in this area led to 6 trips from Atlantic coast to this region. 61 to 69 is unsolved mystery. Intrepid searchers have found no trace of cache or mine. One Swift camp reputed to have been on the site of this courthouse. I wonder where that is. Where does that say? Campton. Campton? Whatever. Money Makin' Saul. What a nickname. My name is Money Makin' Saul. He was really a baller. He was out there. He was so wealthy. That became his name. That became his name. Never heard of that guy before, though. Anyway, so apparently there's a missing legendary silver mine. So if you want to become rich, just abandon your life and start looking for silver, like what happened to James Herod, apparently. Down the Monongahela and Ohio rivers in canoes through a series of... That was where Herod found it. Yeah, so that was like the first settlement. Abandoned and resettled a little later. Boone Station. Is this different from Boonesboro? I actually didn't know about this. Where is this? One of the state historic site near Athens in Fayette County, which I also am not familiar with. Is this in Lexington? It's in, yeah, Fayette County. Okay. I'm not familiar with where this is. I don't know if it says it really here. That's interesting. I should check that out sometime. That shouldn't be too far from me. Okay. Danny moved his son Israel's settlement, which consists... Yeah, so a lot of stations were basically just like a dude with his family putting up walls of putting up a palisade and then having a frontier, a settlement, just a farmstead in the middle of the wilderness, and that was the early settlement of Kentucky by Europeans. Of course, there was a lot of conflict, as you can see. The Battle of... Was it Blue Licks? I thought it... No. Was it Blue Licks? What was it? Salt Licks? I thought it was Salt Licks, but maybe it was Blue Licks. This is where Daniel Boone's son died, right? Or am I thinking of Salt Licks? Lower Blue Licks. Or is Salt Licks not a thing? I thought... No, I think this is the scene where Daniel Boone's son died. It says his brother... Yeah, as Israel and Thomas were killed at the Battle of Blue Licks. Okay, that's what I thought it was. So, yeah, eventually lost or sold his title to the station. My grandmother says he was like... She does a lot of historical research. He was swindled out of everything he owned because he couldn't read, and so people would make claims against him, and he didn't really have any evidence saying otherwise, proving that he was being cheated, and so he lost like everything, and then he moved to like Missouri. Yeah, moved to Missouri. It was under Spanish rule at the time. That's actually interesting. I didn't know that. I guess it doesn't really make a difference when you're in the middle of the wilderness like that. In the middle of a forest, living on your own. That's why people move to Alaska these days. They don't want anyone near them. I actually like people. I want to be around people. So, this place is cool. This is like a vibe. If you want to be in like if you want to be in a subliminal area where you are separated from the real world and you have entered a mystical plane of magic and wonder, go to the birthplace, Abraham Lincoln birthplace. It is here. Right around here. On the map. Is there like an address? It's in LaRue County. Anyway, look, you'll find it. It's cool. Especially if it's like a little foggy out, a little misty. It is seriously like you have entered an entire new realm of existence. You have moved through the veil of our world into another world. It is very cool. I highly recommend checking that out sometime. If you're ever in the area, free to do so. Oop. Definitely check that out. Of course, Abraham Lincoln being born in Kentucky. Everyone talks about Illinois as the Lincoln state. Illinois is the land of Lincoln, but he was born in Kentucky. He is our homebody. Illinois taking all the good stuff. Isaac Shelby. Yeah, this was our first governor. He was our first governor. I don't really know much about him. His burial site is also not too far from me, if I remember correctly. Does it say where he's buried? I think it's at his estate in Lincoln County. Yeah, I should go check that out sometime too. Yeah, I don't know a lot of the first governors of states. only Kentucky. I knew Isaac Shelby was our first governor. I really should look into that. Hold on. I wonder if there's like a list of first governors of states. Sean Cozy. List of first governors of U.S. states. No, it doesn't look like it. There should be. Wikipedia. If you are listening, make a list for this. I would just go through it. It's a good research tool. I'm sure there are things just on the internet you can find, but I like lists on Wikipedia. They're so convenient. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. All right, where was I? Disease had to stabilize the indigenous groups that inhabited Kentucky, causing some to reassemble in multi-tribal towns. That's pretty interesting. Settlers began to claim parts of the Bluegrass State. Native Americans abandoned their larger, more permanent settlements south of the Ohio River, and Kentucky made only small settlements. Upheaval allowed settlers to state that Kentucky was a hunting ground contested by multiple tribes but not permanently inhabited, when in reality it had only recently been abandoned due to social and political turmoil. Now, so I was glad to have gone on this little spelunking tour with you. I'm sure I'm gonna keep this up for a bit longer. I'm not done just yet. Where was I? So I was talking about this. Oh, the Civil War. So this is my fault. I'm gonna get to this in a second. Okay. I'll get to this in a second. I think this has been a very good first attempt doing this spelunking thing. I like how it has gone so far. My only other thing I would say is I would like to go deeper. I would like to really get into some rabbit holes, like click on Lord Dunmore's lore, and that Lord Dunmore's war. Lord Dunmore's lore. What's his lore? And then yeah, hold on. John Murray, Earl of Dunmore. And then we read about Lord Dunmore's lore. And this should be called this whole section could be Lord Dunmore. Anyway. So he did stuff. We could read about this. Oh, Governor of the Bahamas. Okay, well, let's talk about the Bahamas then. And pre-Hispanic era, Lucayan people. I hope I pronounced that right. Treaty of Tordesillas. That's the one that split the world in two. I wonder. So people always say like this was a treaty that split the world in two. That this was the Spanish section of the world over here, and this was the Portuguese section. But I don't think that was probably real. Like, obviously the treaty existed, but I think more like this treaty told Portugal, hey, if you're going to be putting settlements in other parts of the world, keep it within this sphere of influence. Spain, you do the same with this sphere of influence. Not, all right, Spain, this is now all Spain. You can't see my hand, but this is now all Spain. Portugal, the entire rest of Europe, Spain included, as well as the Middle East, the entirety of Africa, all of Russia and China, everything else is Portugal. That's kind of how it's portrayed in pop culture. I don't think that's accurate. And I'm not going to look into it any deeper than that. But I'd like to go very deep. When I say spelunking, I mean I want to be in the birth canal of Wikipedia. So, okay. Civil War. So the Civil War. I have never been to a Civil War recreation battle. What is that? What it's called? Recreation? That's not the right word. Reenactment. I've never been to one in Kentucky. I've never been to Perryville, which isn't very far from me. I don't know why. I'd like to go. That's like what? Maybe 45 minutes away from me? I could why have I never gone? Why have I never gone? I need to do more things. Oh, I drink. I need to do more things. I don't do enough. I need to do more. I want to be doing stuff. Anyway, I've never been to a reenactment in Kentucky. Not an actual reenactment. There was a... whatever. I had a thing. Oh, Kentucky. So this is my fun fact about Kentucky. I don't know if this is a fun fact, especially when it's the Civil War, but the way people talk about Switzerland as being like this totally neutral state, doesn't worry about the sides of the war in World War One and World War Two, just completely removed. They declared neutrality and did not get involved directly. That is Kentucky. Kentucky is America's Switzerland. If you'll look right here, the state had dueling Union and Confederate state governments, which is true. Kentucky remained a part of the Union throughout the war. It declared it was officially neutral. At the start of the war, the governor, who was a Southern sympathizer but loyal to the United States, basically said, you know what? We're neutral. We're not in this war. You guys duke it out. Kentucky is not going to get involved. And of course, that was ridiculous. It wasn't going to happen. People in Kentucky joined both sides and immediately started fighting each other. The South invaded. It didn't go enough. It didn't really take a good foothold. It did capture the Confederates did capture the capital of Kentucky. Frankfort was under Confederate occupation for all of like 5 hours. They occupied the capital. Their forces moved in. They occupied Frankfort, and they had their own shadow government for the state of Kentucky to be as a part of the Confederacy. They moved their government in, started to have an inauguration to make their occupation official, and then their forces started getting pushed back. So, like, it was not very long. I don't know how long it was exactly, but it was seriously like 5 hours. In the middle of the inauguration ceremony, they're like, all right, we're evacuating. We gotta move. The Union's coming back in. And that's super interesting to me. Obviously, let's go Union. You can't not be for the Union. Let's go Union. They took back the capital. They beat the South. Pretty baller. And so they were able to take control of the capital. Yeah. Oh, hey. Briefly controlled Frankfurt. Wow, this Wikipedia article's got a lot more than I thought it would. Oh, okay. Like I said, I don't know enough about Perryville. The expulsion of the Confederate forces after the Battle of Perryville. Government operated in exile. Yeah, cool. Oh yes, also, only sitting governor to ever be assassinated was from Kentucky. Now, I think it's a little cheating. They're cheating a little because he was actually shot before he became governor. I don't know if that really counts as assassinating a sitting governor, but this guy was hated. From my understanding of it, this guy was hated. Even by the Democrats. I think he was a Democrat. Yeah. Absolutely hated. And so in the election, he probably didn't win over his opponent, which I don't remember who it was. He probably did not win the election, but there were a lot of lawsuits going on. This was 1900 or so. I guess it was 1899 was the actual election. Yeah. Even his own party hated him. So when all this controversy came out, like who actually won the election, the state Supreme Court was trying to decide, like, hey, everyone get your lawyers in, we're going to settle this. He was walking to, I think it was either it'll say here. He was either walking to the State House or he was walking to the Supreme Court building, or the same if they were in the same building. I don't really remember. I've been to it before, but I don't remember the layout exactly. So as he was walking to it, gunmen fired from, I think, a window in a nearby building. And he was shot and taken to... he was taken away. His party, as he was unconscious. I think they claimed he was conscious, but he was, as far as I can tell, unconscious. He was out of it. He was on his deathbed. He could not do anything. His party administered the oath of office to him, claimed, all right, we've got a governor. It is William Goebel. He is the governor of Kentucky, even though he probably didn't win that election, and the debate of who was supposed to be governor was still up for debate. And then he passed away. So the Democrats said, "Hey, we're just gonna choose a replacement governor." The legislature, I believe, which was controlled by the Democratic Party at the time, said we're gonna select a new governor now. We're gonna or maybe it was his lieutenant governor just took over. I don't remember. Either way, he became the new governor, and they really put like their thumbs down about who won that election. And so going forward, it was Beckham here who became the actual governor. Again, probably did not win the election. Probably lost to whoever's opponent was, the Republican candidate. And the assassination attempt was likely a cover-up to get him out of the picture, replaced by him, and then have him become the actual governor. It's the only sitting governor to ever be assassinated in U.S. history. Huey Long was not a governor, he was a senator. So that's a dubious claim to fame that Kentucky has as well. Yeah, so Goebbels' running mate and Taylor fought over who was legal governor until the Supreme Court of the United States. Really? The Supreme Court of the United States ruled in favor of Beckham. I'm a little surprised to see this. I wonder what the case was. Taylor was indicted as a co-conspirator. There were threats of violence. There was like riots going on. There could have been a local civil war in Kentucky after this because it was so fraught and contentious. But it did not go anywhere. Beckham just became governor, and that was it. Black Patch Tobacco Wars. I've never heard of that. That's interesting. There was a tobacco... resistance? There was like tobacco raid on Hopkinsville? Dude, I need to read this. I'll need to read this sometime. If I wasn't close to being done, I'd probably read this with you guys right here, right now. Maybe next time, maybe I won't read it. I'll probably read it. Or maybe I'll just forget about it and come back to it some way future date and some day in the future and will never think about it twice. But no, that's interesting. I've never heard of the Black Patch Tobacco Wars. I've heard of the Coal Wars. Coal mining. Does it mention the Coal Wars? New Madrid earthquake, coal field. No, I guess not. Which I'm surprised it mentions the Tobacco Wars, but not the Coal Wars, because that's where you get stuff like the Battle of that place. My ancestors were from there during the time of the battle too. Battle of... what was it called? Not Middlesbrough. Where's Middlesbrough? Hold on. It might mention it on their article. Middlesbrough. Where's their Wikipedia article? Oh. Las Vegas. Pineville. Pineville? Was it Pineville? Is that right? What am I thinking of? Coal mining industry, chain rock. No, it wasn't Pineville, was it? What county? Bell County? Bell County War? Bell County War? They're part of the Coal Wars, and I can't remember. It's which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? That song. Harlan County. Harlan County! Oh my gosh. Harlan County. Why on earth could I not think about Harlan County? Yeah, they lived in... My recent ancestors lived in Middlesbrough. Where's Harlan County? I just saw it. There it is. Coal mining. Battle of... was that it? I don't know how to pronounce that. Everts? The Battle of Everts? Anyway, Bloody Harlan. That was it. Yeah, so I didn't have anybody fight in it, but because my great-grandfather, maybe my great-grandfather, either way, he was actually working out of state. He was sending money back to his family, so I didn't have anybody fight in the war, but this is an interesting... Wait, La Follette, really? That's interesting, too. Yeah, fighting Bob. Oh. Oh, his younger... Oh. That's his son. Bob Jr. Okay. I didn't know there was young Bob. Anyway, so this is an interesting... Yeah, which side are you on? Yeah, that's a good song. Anyway, I think that's probably where I'm going to wrap it up here. That pretty much catches up Kentucky history, at least. I'll find something interesting. Maybe next time I'm scrolling Wikipedia, I will find something in particular that I think other people would like to see me read. This one was probably a bit different than most of my spelunking videos, if I ever do this again, which I'm going to call this Wikipedia Spelunking 1, so I'll probably do this again. In the future, it'll be about topics I'm not super familiar with, so it's going to be a lot of, oh, hey, this thing, let me talk about this thing. But it probably still will be a lot of that, because I did that with, like, even the native mound building cultures. I'm sure it'll bounce back and forth between, hey, this is super interesting, let me read about this, and, oh yeah, also this relates to this other thing that I'm already aware about. So yeah, that's probably going to do it today. Thank you for watching the video. My name is Aide-de-Camp. Please like and subscribe, comment if you learned anything, if you've got another Wikipedia article you would like me to read. That's probably going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and go look for John Smith's Silver Mine, whatever it was. Go look for it right now. Go start exploring the woods. Nobody will miss you. You'll be off and free to do whatever you want. Go look for the lost silver mines. Have a good time.